Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms, firearms policy, politics, culture, media, you name it. We're talking about it right here on Coffee with Craig. So please take a moment, like and share this program, whether you're watching us on Facebook or you are watching us on YouTube. Make sure, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Facebook, and make sure to click the notify button so that you can get the alerts as soon as these videos go live. Also, if you just want to listen to us, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, you can listen to us on Google Podcasts, Apple iTunes, Spotify, you name it. In the description of this video, there's anchor.fm. You go there, you can find all the different avenues where you can find Coffee with Craig and listen in. Also, want to remind you, go to fpcgear.com. That's fpcgear.com. Great place to go and find pro Second Amendment gifts for friends, family. You know, Christmas is right around the corner. Great time, but hey, maybe you can get yourself something. You can get T-shirts, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, all sorts of stuff to make yourself look good supporting the Second Amendment. Know that every penny that you spend will go right back into the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. So it's fpcgear.com, support the Second Amendment, and look good doing it. Now, when it comes to fighting for the Second Amendment, one of the number one things that we like to focus on and we like to talk about is grassroots engagement. People who are getting involved in the grassroots, fighting at home. And there's an organization that we've talked about, and we talk about a lot here on Coffee with Craig. And we've actually had their president, Mr. Mike Schwartz, on before. A group that epitomizes being involved and engaged at the local level when it comes to gun rights. And we have actually some stuff to talk about in terms of successes that they've had. So with that, I'd like to welcome to the show Mr. Michael Schwartz with San Diego County Gun Owners. Mr. Schwartz, how are we doing today? Well, excellent. And then see, I'm realizing right here, right now, that I probably might want to add you to the actual video so that people can see you. Because while hearing you is great, seeing you is even better.
I'm told I have a face for radio, Chris.
Well, excellent. So, but before we get started, just tell the folks just real quick, how did San Diego Gun Owners get started, and what are you guys doing now?
Sure. Well, we're a political organization that focuses only on Second Amendment issues and only at the local level in San Diego County. So there's about 3.5 million people in San Diego County, 18 city councils, a county board, a sheriff, school boards. There are a lot of these local boards and councils where politicians get their start. So a lot of people that serve in Sacramento, Washington, D.C., started out on one of these local boards and councils. So we're the permanent Second Amendment political infrastructure that makes sure that the right people get elected on these local boards and councils. And along the way, we engage with media and tell our side of the story, and we do some training and have a lot of fun and do some fundraising. And we're up to about 1,300 members in just 3 years, and we're very proud of that.
And that's what's fantastic about the work that you do is I always, we do stuff at the state level and we try to do some local stuff. But the point is we can't be everywhere and know everyone. Just like,
right.
The NRA is really good at the federal stuff. Well, we have our disagreements on some stuff, but the thing is they can't be in every state and they're not necessarily effective in every state. They can't know everybody in every state. So when you have a group like yours that is focused in a particular community, you have a chance to have some successes, such as the success that you've had when it comes to shooting on BLM land there in the county of San Diego. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about the good news?
Sure. So the county of San Diego, the County Board of Supervisors, and just for those who don't know what a County Board of Supervisors is, what they do, it's kind of the city council for the entire county, and they especially concentrate on the unincorporated areas. So every place that's outside of a city. And there are 5 of them, just like most city councils, and they decided that they wanted to ban shooting on federal land in the county of San Diego, which doesn't make any sense because their authority is county, it's not federal. Well, they found that there's an agreement between the county and the federal government that dates back about 25 years. that is supposed to be a cooperative agreement. So in other words, if there's something the county and the federal government have to do together, then this agreement kind of defines that and spells it out. Things like if a county deputy sheriff is chasing a perp and they go on federal land, this agreement basically says, yeah, they can continue to chase somebody, and if they need to arrest them, that kind of thing. Emergency services. So what the county of San Diego used that for was to place a mandate on the federal government to comply with a no shooting regulation. So there are just a few places. There's about 1 million acres of federal land in San Diego, but there really only are about a half a dozen areas where you can actually shoot. And the reason is because a lot of the BLM land, you can't shoot from on top of a mountain. You can't get up there. You can't shoot from the bottom of a canyon. So these areas that they wanted to shoot were areas that were easily accessible and had a nice backdrop so that people could get there and actually shoot safely. So they decided, yeah, we're gonna ban shooting on on federal land, and the federal government's gonna go. We're gonna enforce it with the sheriff's deputies, and a lot of people got involved. Michelle and Associates came down. SD Must, Mike Johnson, South Bay Rod and Gun Club did a fantastic job, and they were talking to the county board members, which makes sense. They're the ones that were going to vote on it. South Bay Rod and Gun, a guy named John Sivers, did a really great job. They went down and spoke with one of the South County board members, and it looked like they had his vote. San Diego County Gun Owners contacted Bill Horn and Kristen Gaspar. They're both on the county board, and it looked like they were going to vote the right way. But what I realized, and there were a series of meetings, and dozens of people showed up, and the other side that wanted to ban shooting was just it was pretty ridiculous. They painted this picture like they were like they couldn't leave their house and stand in their front yard without bullets whizzing past their head, like they lived in a war zone, which was ridiculous. So they voted for the ban, but what I realized is, hey, nobody's really talking to the BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management, and nobody is talking to the Interior Department, which oversees BLM and a number of other sub-departments. So one of our members was in the Navy, and he was a SEAL. And I remembered that our secretary, Ryan Zinke, Secretary of the Interior, was a SEAL. And I reached out to a couple of our SEAL members actually and said, hey, do you know this guy? Did you serve? Because, the SEAL community can be a very small community.
Right.
They all know each other. And one of our members said, yeah, I know him well. I have a cell phone number. And I said, great. Here's what's going on. Please contact him and see what you can find out. So he did. They had a nice long conversation. The Secretary of the Interior, Ryan Zinke, said, yep, we do not want to ban shooting on federal land. We're trying to manage the land. We're not trying to ban people from accessing the land. So he put me in touch with his senior advisor, and the two of us went back and forth. And on the day that the regulation from the county was supposed to take place, which was last Tuesday, a week ago today, they were notified, the county board was notified by the Secretary of the Interior Department that no, it's unenforceable. We're not going to comply. If there's some issues you would like us to, work with you on to mitigate, well, let's talk about it. But no, you do not have the authority. It's not going to happen. So I actually got a call from one of the county board members who filled me in, and I spoke with another one of the county board members who filled me in. And it's not going to happen. There will be no ban on shooting on federal land, and we're really very happy about that.
See, folks, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about being active and engaged at the local level. And you never know what relationships you have as you build your organization. You have people around you who think like you think. You never know who is within your sphere of influence and who's within their sphere of influence. So, that is, and you know what, that's the sort of thing that organizations need to be doing on the local level. I wish I've loved to be able to say that we did that, but you know what? You guys did that. And that's that, anyway, I'm a big believer in grassroots and grassroots organization and work. And I'm glad to see that you guys were able to do that. You
I
know,
appreciate it. We're really proud. And I know some people are probably listening thinking, well, I don't know the Secretary of the Interior. No, but you might know the mayor, oh, my kids play soccer together or something like that. Being an activist is being active. And so that's really what led to it. Had we not gotten involved and done this, it might have, we'd have to wait for a victim, somebody who's going to get arrested for shooting on public land, and then there would have been a lawsuit. It would have been really, really ugly. I think eventually we would have won that lawsuit, and that'd be great. But in this case, we didn't have to. We got the right people elected. We were active and involved and informed, and we got it done. We're very, very proud of that. It would not have happened without that relationship. We're very proud of that.
now another issue that you guys have been dealing with down there has to do with the gun show that's been there at Del Mar. They've basically said that no longer going to be hosting that hosting that gun show there. I personally, my biggest issue with it is to have basically the government say, we don't support the Second Amendment. We think the Second Amendment is a bad idea, and therefore we don't want to either encourage or have anything to do with anyone who wishes to engage or further help promote the Second Amendment. I think that's a very bad message for our government to be sending, but also to deprive the folks there in San Diego County of this sort of opportunity.
It is, and it's even uglier in that the word culture kept coming up. They were trying to, they were working against gun culture, which basically means that, a bunch of people who didn't like a particular culture of people who were trying to practice their natural rights, they kicked them out of town. And you're never on the right side of history when that happens. They really, during the meetings, conceded that all the laws were being followed, that it was generally a safe show, but it was all about our culture. They didn't want to promote our culture. And
I would have focused on so in other words, you don't want to support a culture that says law-abiding citizens have a right to defend themselves, because
right,
that's the culture we're talking about. We're talking
yeah,
about exercising a constitutional right. What other constitutional rights, cultural rights, don't they like?
exactly. It was really very ugly, and when you really kind of all you had to do was scratch the surface, and you saw this really, really ugly, um, under the surface reasoning for basically hating people for trying to practice their Second Amendment rights, their First Amendment rights of assembly. It's really pretty bad.
In other words, we don't want you people
Yep.
in our facility.
It's a fact. It really was. And my statement in front of the agricultural board was, hey, look, guys, let's sit down and talk about some of the things you want to do. Like one of the things they wanted to do was put a metal detector at the front gate of the gun show, which doesn't make any sense at all. But okay, you want a metal detector? Let's talk about what would make you feel more comfortable. But don't go down this path of just pure hatred and frankly the definition of bigotry. And once they did that, once they started saying, well, gee, we know everybody here is obeying the law. We know that you have to go through a 10-day wait period. We know that all transactions have to go through a licensed dealer. Once they conceded that, hey, all the laws are being followed, then really all they were left with was, we hate you people. We don't like your type of person. Get out of our town.
Interestingly enough, what if they decided that they didn't want certain religions there? They didn't believe in certain religions. In fact, there's a greater likelihood of an act of violence occurring at a religious event than at a gun show.
I honestly, I don't really think it's any different at all. I don't think that you can kind of split up liberty. I think liberty's liberty. Rights are rights, but there are some groups of people that are more equal than others, and that's what you guys are doing a great job of fighting for that, and we're doing a great job of fighting for that. But that's where we're at as far as the Second Amendment goes.
What do you think the future of the gun show there? Well, maybe not at that facility, but the future of the gun show in San Diego County. What do you think the future of that Crossroads of the West is going to be in San Diego County?
So for about the past 8 months or so, 9 months, Gavin Newsom actually wrote a letter to the agricultural board saying, yeah, get rid of the gun show. This agricultural board is appointed by the governor, and everybody was kind of seeing the writing on the wall that Gavin Newsom is going to be the next governor. So if he's appointing this board and he's telling them what to do, then guess what they're going to do? There was one guy, a retired admiral, who voted in favor of keeping the gun show, and he's no longer on the agricultural board. So what does that tell you? And so I started 8 months ago or so. I started looking for other different venues, and it's kind of difficult. A gun show needs 60,000 square feet of usable space. They need 1,200, 1,300 parking spots. Really, the best place for them is the fairgrounds. That's what that was designed to be, was this regional facility where those types of shows can happen. So we started looking at different Indian reservations. We started looking at other smaller properties that had the same amount of space that was usable, that sort of thing. And we are staying away from any facility that is run by a city council or any kind of municipal board, because we don't want we'll jump from the pan into the fire. So we're looking at private properties. I gave a bunch of information to Crossroads of the West, and now they're looking at figuring out what they want to do for the future as far as their show, and figuring out exactly which venue fits them best. I would like to see it get bigger and better. I'd like to see it in a more central location. Del Mar was pretty far north and pretty pretty close to the ocean. I'd like to see it a little bit more central. And I'd like to see it a little bit more. I'd like to see people, speakers come in, have them unroll, presentations from, Remington comes to town and shows their brand new shotgun, something like that. So that's my preference. But in 2019, you're going to see an announcement, I hope, that will talk about the new location. And again, it's going to be bigger and better, and we look forward to continuing to support it. I want to emphasize something too, that Crossroads of the West is great. They're fantastic. They're wonderful. But we did this because it's a gun show, and because people were saying, "Hey, look, you as a gun owner are undesirable. Your culture is undesirable." So our big goal was to push back against that sentiment. Love Crossroads of the West. They're fantastic, but we weren't standing up for a company or an individual. We were standing up for a group of people, and that's gun owners. And that's why it was so important for us to defend the gun show. And that's why it's so important for people to, even if you haven't gone to a gun show in 10 years, even if you don't like some of the cheaper products they sell there, it's not as gun oriented as you want it to be. The point is, there were people that were using this as an excuse to make you undesirable and to make you appear dangerous.
Exactly. Imagine if all of a sudden they said, well, hotels don't have to allow organizations that are pro Second Amendment organizations to host fundraisers, or if you run an organization that has a firearms raffle, we're not going to allow you to do that in our hotel or in our facility. I mean, all of these various different things, but ultimately what it comes down to is it's government saying, we don't like people who promote a constitution, use of access to a constitutional right. And that's the worst part about it, is this is literally government discrimination against a group of people with a certain set of values.
That's exactly right. And, certain discrimination is allowed. And unfortunately, we're not a protected class. We're not, there are certain protected classes of legally protected classes. And gun owners aren't in that group. So they discriminate against us all day long.
You would think that the Second Amendment would put us somewhere there, but it seems
you would think.
It seems to be the redheaded stepchild in the in the Constitution, unfortunately.
Right.
So how can folks get a hold of you and follow the work that you're doing, or if they're there in San Diego or around San Diego County, maybe become a member of San Diego County Gun Owners?
Absolutely. So check out San Diego County GunOwners.com, San Diego County GunOwners.com. We also have a Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you prefer. And then also we started last year OrangeCountyGunOwners.com. which is the exact same thing. We're gaining in membership, same goal, same logo. It's just the same thing happening up in Orange County, and we're looking to expand that even further across the state. So either San Diego County Gunowners.com or Orange County Gunowners.com, depending on where you live.
Excellent, Michael. Once again, thank you so very much. We appreciate all the work that you do there. You help. Wow, I mean, you guys fight the fight that we can't fight, and that's why we say a lot of people talk about, oh, well, we don't need more gun rights groups. No, you know what? There's a lot of angles that need to be hit, and there's a lot of room for people to be active and engaged. People out there, if you have an idea, a niche that's not being met, a place where it's not, the Second Amendment's not being advocated, don't wait. Start your thing. Get your thing going, and let's all work together to help protect and defend our right to keep and bear arms here in the state of California and in these United States. So, Michael, thank you so very much.
Thank you very much for all that you guys do. Thank you.
Excellent. Everyone, Michael Schwartz, San Diego County Gun Owners. All right, folks, that's going to be it for today's Coffee with Craig. Thank you so much for tuning in. We very much appreciate you guys liking and sharing this program, telling your friends about us, about, San Diego County Gun Owners, and as well as telling them about the Firearms Policy Coalition. We are the home in the fight for civil rights. Got to use them or you're going to lose them. You guys take care.
If you like our videos, follow, subscribe, like, and share.